Hey everyone, Selwyn here from WynnStrength.com, bringing you another training vlog regarding the Darkhorse training program developed by Brian Alsruhe. As usual, I'll leave links below to watch the YouTube video that Brian Alsruhe creates in order to explain a bit more in depth as to what the program is, the nuances regarding the program, and what you actually need to do to get the program completed, as well as the really helpful lift fault link where they've actually developed a spreadsheet based off of the program, which pretty much takes out all of the guesswork and all of the hard work of plugging in numbers into Excel. So all you have to do is plug in your own numbers and away you can go. So today is actually the first day back after the 1 week deload or rest week. So it's week 4/5. Technically week 4 was an off week. All I did was one workout, which was about 30 minutes. Just a really light cardio thing. I really wanted to take advantage of the rest week, something that I think is helpful to do. I'll talk about it later after I go through what I've done today. So basically today we did warm-ups. It was obviously lower body day, and a couple of the movements have changed up because we are starting a new phase. So if you don't watch Alsruhe's video, it's a 3-week, 3-phase program. So 9 weeks of total work with 2 deload weeks and 2 testing weeks. So kind of a 12-ish week program, depending on how you want to split up those deloads and testing phases. But really at the crux of it, it's a 9-week program split into 3-week phases. So we're starting off today with our max effort for today, which again, the format stays the same. We're just really changing the movements and some set rep schemes, but for the most part, it's going to be the same thing as we did in phase 1, and we're just changing a couple of movements up. This week's movements were the Romanian deadlift, followed by pause squats, and then some V-ups as well as some jumps. Now with the ab movements and the conditioning movements, because of my certain equipment deficiencies, I can't do all of the movements that he says, as well as physical limitations. So we're talking about dragon flags here, I can't do those, so I just settled for some V-ups instead. But you can do that with any program. The main movements are really what I focus on and try to replicate those as best as possible. We didn't do any safety squat barbell work this time for this phase. Figure I'll switch it back to the regular barbell, see how my shoulders hold up to it. If not, maybe in the 3rd week I'll switch back to the SS yoke bar, but I'll try and tough it out for the full 3 weeks without using an SS yoke bar, and maybe we'll bring back that yoke bar in the 3rd and final phase. Nevertheless, we did RDLs. It was 5 working sets today, so we were targeting 8 to 12 reps. First set 245, and then for the subsequent 4 sets we hit 275 sets of 8. You notice I do throw on some wrist straps there, just because the grip starts to go out, and it is one of my weak points, but I do want to still get a good stimulus for the back. So being as though the grip is my limiting factor here, I did want to keep the weights high, so we did put those wrist straps on there just to get that going. So it is something that I need to look at and probably rectify in the future, but for right now, I'll keep the wrist straps on there so that we can keep that weight going up. We follow that with pause squats. This week was a 3-rep max working limit, which we hit 295 for the first set, and then 315 for the final 4 sets for 3 reps all the way across. Really impressed with that. Again, it's not that heavy in the big scheme of things, but with the way this program is going, with the way it ended with the 3rd week of the first phase, my workout times are blowing out to over 1 hour and 50 minutes. Some even pushing to 1.5 hours, hour 45. With that in mind, I did want to focus on keeping those rest periods and keeping those workout times to definitely under 90 minutes, hopefully within the 1 hour and 15 minute range, especially when we are dropping out things like his 10-minute conditioning workout at the start that I drop out if time isn't allowing me, as well as the extra work at the end of it, the more hypertrophy accessory work. None of that has been completed in any of this during my completion of the program because I'm running out of time. I'm getting, again, pushing the 1 hour 15 to 1 hour 45 minute mark. I don't have time to spend 2+ hours in the gym, so I really wanted to focus on driving that workout period down, giving some reflection after the first phase. The second phase, I really want to drive in the shorter rest periods and keeping those workouts short. But what that does entail is me not having to push as heavy of a weights because I don't have as long of a recovery time to continue that. You might have a different opinion there. If you really want to drive strength up, maybe you push out those rest periods and continue to eke out the longer workouts if that's something you're fine with. With my own current goals, I did want to shorten down these workouts, obviously, so we're shortening up the rest periods, which inevitably means until my conditioning catches up to my strength is going to kind of be a little bit on the back burner, but my conditioning will hopefully go up, and then over time that'll catch up to the strength and we'll be able to push up some big numbers again, but that'll be in a while. So we're still developing this baseline level of conditioning, which is still lacking. Follow that with just some V-ups for the ab movements, and then some jumps after that. It does prescribe box jumps. I don't have a box nor the ceiling height. You probably see that. Can't do any of those things. We'll just do some air jumps, which is fine. Following that, we did move on to our volume set for the day, which again, same movements, but we do take about an 80% hit to the top set for our max effort because we are going to increase those reps. So what that meant was 250 pounds for the pause squats. I did also drop down the Romanian deadlifts. Again, this is in that effort to keep the rest periods down, keep the workout short. We went from 275 for 8, now we're doing 225 for 12, and then 250 for sets of 8 across. Usually that first set is an AMRAP set, but with my conditioning as it is, I was only able to push out the 8 reps today. I do like to shoot for about 2 over what the prescribed rep range is. I think that means I've picked a good weight selection for the max effort work based on just some percentages and some numbers there. But today just wasn't happening. Again, shortening down those rest periods. And in an effort to keep today's workout short, I did have to cut out the last set of volume work because we are pushing out on that time. And we quickly moved on to my dynamic effort work, which is an EMOM set, 10 minutes every minute on the minute. Today was deadlifts, 225 with bands. Again, dropping the weight. If you're following from the previous videos, this is probably really lightweight, but what I've been reading with dynamic, you really want to make sure that that speed is there. And one thing I was noticing towards the end of the first phase, my speed just wasn't there with the dynamic effort movement, so I did want to dial down the weight and really focus on making sure the speed is there, because that's really what the point of this is. Otherwise I'm just doing some more volume work. I'm not achieving the end goal in mind of what the dynamic effort really is all about. That went well, and again, cut that one rep short, just time didn't permit. Today's workout only took 1 hour and 20 minutes, so that was great, a good start of things to come, just so that I know I'm really under that 90-minute mark. Hopefully we can push that down towards the hour 15, even the hour mark, hopefully. So today's workout went well. I think that rest period really helped me feel refreshed, helped my body feel like I really wanted to work out again. Towards the third week there, if you remember, I wasn't feeling as great. The workouts were kind of stalling a little bit. The progress wasn't there. I just wasn't feeling that enthusiastic to train. Things of that nature kind of indicate to me that I am needing a deload week, a rest week, something along those lines where we're not pushing the body as hard as we can. And especially with this new type of workout I'm doing, it's a new stimulus overall, different movements, different reps, different intensity of the program itself. Again, I said it before and I'll say it again, this is probably one of the most condensed programs I've done in a really long time, if ever. The amount of work, tonnage, intensity I'm doing in such a short period of time is not something I've done before. So my body is really trying to adapt to this new style of training. And that's why I think after that third week was really helpful to get that rest period in, because I was showing signs of some accumulated fatigue and just some built up of stress, things of that nature, so that we can recuperate, regenerate, and just come back fourth week, you hit it hard. And that's the one thing I do want to discuss is stress. The body's always encountering stress, you'll know this, whether that be from life, relationship, work, literally anything, financial issues, anything that causes you to not be unstressed is causing you stress. And the body doesn't really separate the difference between whether it's work stress, stress in the gym, if I ran a 5K, if I'm getting 2 hours of sleep a night, if I traveled, even if you traveled vacation, just the travel time itself is still stressful to the body to a degree. If you're working long hours, if you're under the gun at work, if you're pressure to do certain things, if you have financial issues, things of these nature are all adding up, even relationship, family, friendships, things like that. If there's anything stressful that's happening in your life, that's all contributing to the body's stress as a whole. And it's not just, and your body isn't able to really determine like, oh, my workout is important, so I need to recover from that before I recover from this financial issue I'm worrying about, or this work problem I'm having that I can't stop thinking about. My body isn't going to shut that down and focus on recovering from the workout. No, my body's going to figure out, it's just going to try and recover the best it can. And most of us have, all of us have a limited capacity to endure stress. There's a lot of research out there showing how bad stress is for all of us. And I mean, there is good stress, there's bad stress, there's productive stress and destructive stress. So things like working out, I would argue a good stress is something like stressing out over a bad relationship, probably not the best stress to be under. But nevertheless, those two different types of stress are still under the bucket of stress, and it's still going to affect our body's response to extra stress that we throw onto it. So eventually your body does get used to the stress levels that it does have. That's why we can train for an hour and then we can train for longer than that. We might only, if you're just beginning, maybe you can only work out for a minute. You just go for a 1 minute walk around the block and that's all your body can tolerate. But over time, you obviously adapt to that. Your body's adapting to the stress that you're putting it under. And as we increase the stress, as life goes on, as life gets more hectic, we're going to adapt to that stress. But we still want to control the amount of stress we have, because if everything's contributing to that and I'm trying to push a PR, if I have, let's say for example, I have a competition where I'm trying to enter into a powerlifting competition, and I also have exam finals, and I'm having relationship issues, and they all happen to happen in the same week, but that's probably going to be the worst week of my life, because we have 3 things that are all accumulating into one big stress event, and my body doesn't have time to recover from one before the next and then the other. So with that in mind, when you are looking at your body's progress and your training progress, don't just look at what's written down on the paper and how you're tracking weight-wise. You have to take a more holistic approach to reviewing yourself. So if you're training on vacation, you're really not doing anything. If you have no other stresses in life, like if you're a professional athlete and your only real stress is competing, then you have all of your resources available to go towards that goal. But if you live an everyday life, which is probably why you're watching this, you have to divert all of these resources across a whole bunch of different things. Not all of us are getting paid to work out. A lot of us are paying to work out, ironically. And to not keep the rest of our life in check when we're trying to assess training outcomes is removing a whole piece of the puzzle that might be answering a lot of questions to you. If you're in a plateau, are you sleeping right? Are you eating right? Is your work-life balance good? Are you coping with stress in healthy ways? If I am working out for an hour, that still leaves 23 other hours in the day for things to happen. Am I getting my 8 hours of sleep? Even if I'm getting 6 hours, am I getting at least 6, ideally 8? And if I'm training really hard, potentially more, maybe 9, or even maybe 8 hours and 15 minutes. Do I wake up feeling tired? And these are all signs that maybe you're having too much stress in your life, and you need to look at the situation you're in and just reassess how can you make things better, how can you cope with different stress, how can you eliminate certain stresses, things of that nature. Now, this isn't going to be obviously an easy task to do. It's not going to be an easy project to accomplish. It might induce more stress. It's a vicious cycle of stress, but we have to attempt to rectify the situation and look at where we are in life and what we can do to make things happen in certain ways and to really come out of this as a better person at the end of a certain period. But with that being said, I mean, that's stress as a whole. When we do work out for something like this with a program, I personally like to have deload weeks scheduled in, because I know my body personally, just because I'm not able to, I don't have the perfect balance of things outside of the gym, even within the gym. You could say that. But things like nutrition and sleep could all be better. So for me personally, I know that because things outside of the gym aren't perfect, I'm going to have to schedule in times of recovery in order to allow my body to regenerate, recuperate, and just refresh mentally even to get back to training at the intensities that I like to train at. So things like if I'm not always getting 8 hours of sleep. It's something I need to get better at. Something we could all probably get better is getting enough sleep, not having to wake up to an alarm. If you're waking up to an alarm, it's probably a sign you're not getting enough sleep. If you wake up naturally at the right time, then you're probably getting a great amount of sleep. With that in mind, I know that's the case. I know like nutrition isn't always on point. Some days it's great, some days it's not, but that's life. I drink on the occasion, so my abilities to recover outside of the gym are not 100%. So I know that I'm not going to be recovering at full capacity because I have a life outside of the gym, which makes my need for a recovery week probably a little bit more important than other people that might have a better handle on things that relate to their recovery capacities outside of the gym. And everyone's going to be different, and there might even be some nocebo effects coming in here. I tell myself I need a deload week over a certain amount of time. It's set in my brain that I need a rest week, and when I don't get one, my performance suffers, and maybe I'm self-sabotaging myself. But nevertheless, I think a week in the big scheme of things isn't that big of a deal. And with that in mind, I just want to recommend that people just look at how your life is in and around the gym. Make sure that you're setting realistic expectations for what you hope to achieve out of a training program, and you have goals that are realistic and within a realistic time frame. I figure just keep that in mind whenever you're looking at training outcomes and what you expect to get out of a training program, what you expect to get out of your training in general. If a couple of months go by and things are happening that aren't the norm for your life, then that's probably going to be contributing to lack of results in the gym. And if you've had a particularly great time of the year where things are going great, you're not really worrying about anything else, things are just dialing in life, and you're getting really good results in the gym, that might be part of that too. So have a look at how the rest of your life is fitting in with the gym, because again, none of us, well, if you're a professional athlete watching this, that's awesome. But if you're like the most people that aren't, this is only a small percentage of the day that we're here. But what happens with the other percentage of the day has a big effect on what we do here in the gym because of how intense it is and what we're trying to achieve. So with that in mind, just keep a more holistic approach at your life and really assess. Remember, when you're assessing, it's not just the 2 hours you spend in the gym, it's the 24 hours you have for the rest of the day that will affect the outcomes. Just like usual, I'll leave a playlist here so you can watch the rest of the Darkhorse training vlog as I go, see how my progress goes and my thoughts and feelings about the program along the way. This has been Selwyn from Wynn Strength, and remember, a better life through strength.